think we can all admit, you could love him or hate him given what's happened, but he was one of the most brilliant traders in the crypto universe. He also built one of the most robust platforms. We used FTX actively. It was a very robust platform that allowed us to get information on a compliant basis. So I really like what he built.
Would you back him?
The answer would be yes.
You just can't make this stuff up. This is the FTX Pitch Deck. 15% annualized fixed rate loans, no lockup. These loans have no downside. Kevin O'Leary, what in the world are you thinking? Obviously, he's not thinking. And CZ went on to tweet that there are honest mistakes that you can recover from. But once your credibility is gone, you are done. And these were not honest mistakes. Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and people are just losing their minds. I mean, we're talking wire fraud, crypto asset fraud, perjury, just for starters. And look who's among the advisors to the FTX bankruptcy, Jay Clayton himself, former chair of the SEC. David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple, had something, I think, that makes a lot of sense here. I keep hearing people describe SBF as a great trader. Is that really true? Everyone in the space made money during the massive bull run, the same time Sam did. And when things went bad, his trades massively blew up. Maybe he was just taking massive directional risk all along. He claims he lost track of how much leverage he had and how much risk he was taking. If that's true, he's a terrible trader, because the number one most important trading skill is understanding and tracking the amount of kinds of risk you are taking. Wow. No kidding, David. The tweets from Sam just get more detached from reality. He states here, his goal is to clean up and focus on transparency and make customers whole. He's blaming the whole thing on a run and too much leverage. Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, tweeted out that Twitter has broken just about every piece of this FTX story using blockchain analytics, while the New York Times is writing puff pieces on a criminal. Feels like a turning point for citizen journalism and loss of trust for mainstream media. This bankruptcy, according to the Wall Street Journal, involves more than 1 million creditors, and the New York Times here tries to blame it on a too fast expansion and failed to see the warning signs. No, he has admitted he knew what he was doing. All I can say is I'm glad it was puff and not fluff. Japan had its first exchange that has halted withdrawals, that is the Liquid Global. It was a fairly big exchange here, and it was one that was acquired by FTX earlier this year. I know there's been a lot of talk about this missing course number 18 of the MIT series that was taught by Gary Gensler. That was the day that Jeff Sprecher and Kelly Loeffler were guests. Now, if you say, who is that? Well, this is part of ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange, and also Mr. Sprecher sits as a chairman on the New York Stock Exchange. We've got the URL to the original page, and when you go to the Wayback Machine and look if it was captured, it was 3 different times archived, but it has a redirect, so it just takes you to another session. Have a listen to this video.
I ask you all to go as deep as you can between now and Thursday because you'll have the founder of ICE with us. But ICE is a one-day futures contract that literally you're buying a derivative of Bitcoin, but it's a very unusual futures contract because it has to be 100% collateralized. So there's no margin, there's no ability to have leverage or debt or credit extension. And one day later, you get delivered the Bitcoin. So one of the interesting questions for Thursday that you can press Jeff and Kelly on is this really a derivatives contract, or is it a form of a cash contract that just starts as a derivative and 24 hours later it becomes cash because it's 100% collateralized and settles one day later? Very unusual future contract. I'm not aware of any other one-day future 100% collateralized contract. It feels to me that this is, in essence, a cash contract by another name for one day that facilitates being regulated by an official regulator for derivatives.
Of course, it's always going to be some good idea. Nobody's going to say, I've got some I want to sell you. The blockchain. It's high octane blockchain. But blockchain is a new good thing that's come up, like fairy dust.
You do have a way of putting it very precisely, Charlie.
The reason why I put those clips back to back is to have you reflect how Gensler is so laser focused on controlling this space, to put under his belt the new asset class of financial instruments, because they are going to completely transform our financial world. With Charlie Munger, well, he just can't get his head around the space, and he sees it as fairy dust. If it was fairy dust, Gensler would be looking the other way. And while Sam keeps tweeting, many wondering, why is he not been arrested? Forecast News, usually very reliable, published this article about 3 hours ago that the American and Bahamian authorities are considering the possibility of SBF traveling to the United States for questioning, citing 3 people familiar with this situation. Attorney John Deaton's website, in about 30 seconds, will allow you to send a message to 2 of your senators and a representative in one message, demanding an investigation into the SEC and Gary Gensler's dealing with SBF FTX. And even for those who are outside of the United States, there is an international button. I'm going to put a link to his website in the description below. You're probably thinking, is there any good news? Well, we've got opening remarks coming from Ripple's CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, in about 45 minutes at Swell. Maybe Natalie Brunell was just off by 24 hours when she said 2 days ago that there was supposed to be a Ripple settlement yesterday. Maybe Mr. Garlinghouse was saving the news to announce it at the Ripple event? Well, I don't know. I'll believe anything these days because everything is so strange, but I'm not holding my breath.